Hey guys, welcome back to Pillbox Movies. I'm Hank, and today we're going to be watching the 1969 Jacques Demy film, Model Shop. Jacques Demy has been featured on this channel, it's probably the most featured director on this channel. Model Shop is his only foray, shooting in the US. It stars Gary Lockwood and Anouk Aimée returning perhaps as her character in Demy's debut film, Lola. I love Lola, I love Anouk Aimée, I love Jacques Demy. I'm excited to check this one out. So yeah, without further ado, let's watch Model Shop. And before we get started, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. The same iris out as in Lola, as in Bay of Angels, as in The Umbrellas of Cherbourg as well, as in Young Girls of Rochefort. And again, similarly to Lola and to Bay of Angels, starring with a car in travel, a long tracking shot.
You were dreaming. Who were you dreaming of? Never mind, it doesn't matter.
I can kind of see what Jacques Demy or Agnes Varda said. I think Jacques Demy said that this actress, Alexandra Hay, had some qualities like Jean Moreau. I can kind of see that in her face. And this actor Gary Lockwood, he was in 2001: A Space Odyssey. He played the astronaut, the scientist opposite Keir Dalia's character, and this role was originally supposed to be played by Harrison Ford, another spaceman. I'll see if I can find the interview they had with Harrison Ford after this.
So, because I was supposed to be in the film, Jacques and I went to visit the model shop on Santa Monica Boulevard. A very bizarre exterior, all painted with Day-Glo paint. And we went in, and there was one girl.
Hello.
Hi. Do you want to take some pictures?
That we had to rent one of these little cameras and buy some film, 12 exposures of film for, I think it must have been $35.
What kind of setting do you want? Bedroom or living room?
So we chose the bedroom set.
George Matthews,
That's me.
you were notified of the repossession date through the mail. You apparently chose to ignore it, so unless you can come up with the back payments on it, $100, I have to take it in.
What's the matter? He said he'd bring it in this afternoon.
She kind of does look like a younger, Americanized version of Jean Moreau.
The bastards.
What are you gonna do?
Well, I don't have any choice. I've got to find $100 today.
I love the colors he chooses for his women.
I mean, nobody's gonna give $1 million to a guy of 26 just because he has ideas.
Oh, crap.
26 and graying.
Well, I really don't think you have any ambition at all.
I'm suddenly watching a Bresson film. Anouk.
I'd like to have my card, please.
Walking in like a breath of wind.
Oh, thank you.
Women always needing their cigarettes lit. That's something that that like one of the interviewees said, I think, in the either the world of Jacques Demy or in The Young Girls 25 years later.
Tous les films de Jacques Demy, les filles sont très agitées, exubérantes, fantaisistes. Et puis elles n'ont jamais de montre, elles sont toujours en retard, alors elles demandent quelle heure est-il.
They said that they fell in love with Jacques Demy's women, that they always asked for the time, or they always needed a cigarette lit. They're always late to going somewhere.
No, not at all.
Boom, boom. Oh, Scheherazade. Now, in connection with Kubrick, this is making me think of Clockwork Orange, the desert fantasy, the Bible fantasies. This weird little flirtation with cars and classical music. It's from a different era. I think Demy is trying to communicate a little bit of, I don't know, shyness or sweetness in this. I think these days the lady would probably think it's like overtly frightening. She's making a house call.
Los Angeles and Southern California, mostly sunny today and tomorrow.
To me, isn't playing with these LA scenes. This is kind of like this is kind of reminding me a bit of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's like a joyriding or like a leisure driving movie, specifically taking place in LA. But I don't really remember if Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was like this. But it's kind of like not like a destination viewing kind of movie. Like usually when you watch these kind of movies, these drive along like LA movies, you'll see like the Hollywood land sign, you'll see what's it called, the planetarium and stuff, and stuff you'll see in La La Land, right? But this movie specifically references like landmarks that would be featured in other Hollywood LA movies that they specifically don't go to, and it's mostly about street level stuff and just seeing LA as it is, and LA as it would be encountered by Demy as someone living there for a year, someone who's like excited to be in this city but isn't viewing it specifically through the Hollywood tourist lens, somebody who has like immersed himself in the culture. And yeah, to me, like the standout stuff is like seeing the what's it called, the Sabrina Pines or something, the Carolina Pines. That's like a standout landmark for me. But yeah, it has that same kind of laid back energy of just like drinking in the city and not based off of a tourist map. It's really interesting mixture that has happened with Demy coming to America, coming to LA, the incorporation of like psychedelia, these kind of like prog rock.
You're expecting Grossman, our manager.
Hey, look, if you're into something, I'll go on.
Ah, no, come on in. We're just finishing up an arrangement.
All the sunshine, the antique cars, or the vintage cars. What is he playing that on?
I'd like them to be sort of a personal testimony on the insanity of this world. I don't know, it's really far out.
I don't know. I'm not going to give up architecture. I really want to create something, but I just can't seem to wait out the 15 or 20 years it takes to establish a reputation.
True enough. Yeah, I'm gonna pause for something. Pause for 3, 2, 1. Pause.
Circles,
yeah, this is in keeping with a lot of Demy's protagonists as young, daydreaming men who kind of semi-formally or lackadaisically have an idea of what they want to bring into the world, what they want to do with themselves, but they don't want to have to try and wait out the appropriate opportunity to do it. They want to take the chance for themselves and not kind of bow down to institutional rot or inertia, waiting until something will happen. They kind of want to strike while the iron's hot. It's kind of surprising to me, given how much of a bent he takes with these characters, with like Roland in Lola and whatever the character's name is in Bay of Angels, how much of a departure Guy is from this model. I mean, Guy in some ways does represent the same kind of characteristics, but not so direct. He like likes his life in the working in the garage, and he likes going out with Geneviève and stuff, but he doesn't have this same kind of like I don't know, edge of cynicism that like Roland or that Jean have, but we see it here now in George.
I keep going around in circles, I guess, trying to find out what the choices are, wasting a lot of time.
How much? 65 cents.
This following thing is a weird thread with Demy, or a weird thing he's introducing in this movie. I think it plays well into the kind of like, pause for a second, pause again, 3, 2, 1, pause. I think it plays well into the kind of weird duality he brings into his film. That if you see the films from like his character's point of view, his protagonist's point of view, they have like a kind of sweetness and endearing nature to them. But if you look at it just like a little bit outside of that lens, you can see that there's like a vague threat or menace to their actions, that their actions aren't like 100% a fantasy or excusable, that there's actually a touch of danger and risk to the things that they do, that they're like kind of like naive or innocent minds kind of gloss over, that we as an audience have to kind of take with a grain of salt. It's really interesting because his movies are so lovable and so sweet. But I think as an audience member, and as an audience member who is well versed in his works, you have to be able to distinguish when he's not actually completely on his protagonist's side, or when he is actually subtly rocking the boat a little bit. Because if you see this from Lola's point of view, this is completely unwelcome behavior, or maybe not, because she's like pretty willing to entertain it back in Lola in the 61 film, but maybe now being in America she has a different attitude, or she's grown up a little. Who's to say? Model shop. Not exactly the kind of place you'd expect her to walk into.
Hello.
Hi. Do you want to take some pictures?
Yeah, sure.
Mona, Georgia, Lola.
You know our terms? $20 for a half hour, $12 for 15 minutes.
You gotta go get your car back.
Film included.
And like Jack and the Beanstalk, he has this mission he's supposed to go on in like a fairy tale realm, but he's kind of like called by adventure. It's a very intentional departure from the more adolescent, the more innocent and naive depictions he's had in his earlier films. Even just this walking in shadow into the studio rooms. I'm gonna pause for a second. And I'm not sure if they're gonna develop on this or not, but also the idea that they're shooting in the studio, the idea that romance or attraction, or even or love, or even sexual attraction, are these artifices, these concepts that we have in our head that don't conform with the real world, with how you actually interact with people. And so you try and shape the real world back into your fantasy. And so you have these rooms, these studio rooms, where people take pictures or engage in sexual behaviors that are trying to reshape the real world, the reality of who Lola is, if that is her real name in this version of the movie, back into the fantasy of what Lola is, the image he has of her when he's following her down the street, the version that conforms to his idea of how his life is supposed to be and what women he's supposed to be with. It's a very relatable aspect to Demy's work, if you are, kind of man enough to admit it. This constant question of if you want to engage with the reality of the world around you, or if you want to engage with the fantasy inside of yourself, and if the two can coexist. Hi. How one feeds into the other. I forget how Lola introduces herself in Lola. Obviously she does a dance, but I don't remember what's the first word she says.
C'est gentil d'être venu. Je viens de répéter, j'allais partir.
And the grim reality of all the ashes of his cigarettes on his shirt. Beautifully played.
What would you like? Boots, hat, or whip? Take your choice.
It's such a different presentation from Lola, because in Lola, she's in a dance hall that, the sailors go to. She is playing a sex worker in that, but this is just a little bit more sordid, or a little bit more real.
Ready?
A little bit more
Where is
grown
the
up.
armchair?
Doesn't matter.
Only by capturing it in an image, as Demy does in film, can you look back and say that this was actually the fantasy, this was actually the experience that you wanted. But when you're doing it, when you're taking the pictures, it's so drab, it's so
very talkative.
unpleasant.
But it's all right with me. Would you like to have the bed now?
Demy is so willing to re-engage and reinterpret his own work, his own lens, the like shiny Vaseline lens that we see his characters in. He's deconstructing it so viciously in this film. I wonder if it's going to be the same thing as like in Bay of Angels, where the characters like are too broken by the reality and try and reconstitute it into the fantasy, which is kind of what I interpret the end of Bay of Angels being. Because this is so gross in comparison to all of Demy's other stuff, and in comparison to like the 61 version of Lola.
You have only one left. If you want me to do anything.
I like what I've got. It's kind of degrading work, isn't it? Why do you do it?
And see,
Make
this
my living.
becomes the fantasy.
But I don't like this word, degrading. After all, I don't know what you do to make your living.
You see, there's the fantasy of Lola as like the perfect woman, the perfect love object, but there's the even greater fantasy for men of saving Lola, of the degraded, the fallen woman who needs to be rescued, and that affirms your manhood by doing so. Ooh. I understand this is not like this as a product, as an end result, wasn't like a perfect film for Demy or for like Columbia's pictures and whatnot, but you can see the dynamics at play, the very true to life date kind of like psychology or like headspace that Demy delves into, that he reaches into and pulls out, extracts all of these fantasies from.
Blackstone Finance. No, I'm sorry, he's in a meeting at the moment. I'm afraid you'll want the car picked up. Well, it would be best for you to try to get the payment in before we close this evening.
He's gonna go gamble it, like in Bay of Angels.
Did he pay?
He's going to come back this evening.
And another example of artifice, having like a fake meeting so he doesn't actually have to interact with George. Yeah, the world's just like built on artifice.
Hey, George! Hey, what are you doing? Hey, we're gonna go to the paper. You wanna come?
I don't know how things are going to turn out.
Why don't you come give it a try at the newspaper?
Got the draft hanging over my head. Makes it kind of tough to plan
Jesus.
anything.
I love these. These are like aspects that people don't really like about Demy's films, but these are things that'll come up in his later stuff, like student protests, organization, riots, the draft. From what I know, these are things that'll come up in like Une Chambre en Ville, for example. That gradually Demy will incorporate more and more of elements of the real world, of the politics, into his movies.
Hello, operator. I'd like to make a long-distance phone call to San Francisco.
Belmondo.
Charge you to my home phone, please.
Your father told me not to send you anymore.
Very, very much not the fantasy of his previous films.
A letter from the draft board came in the mail this
boy.
morning. He thought it best to open it.
You're to report up here in San Francisco this coming Monday. It's all up to you.
I'm going to get off.
George.
Bye.
Well, I do think Harrison Ford would have been a better casting choice. I'm actually kind of learning to lean into and accept Gary Lockwood's kind of like older presence in this. That it meaningfully complicates the relationship we have with George. He's not just some bright young thing burnishing to live. He is like kind of like a little bit past his sell-by date, and we have to contend with the fact that he still is like perhaps deserving of his freedom, of his liberty, even if he doesn't conform to a youthful ideal we have of the protagonists that should want those things. He's at the age where we think you should be settled, you should be an astronaut. And so it's challenging for us that he's still presenting as this character who dreams and wishes and doesn't have a job and isn't spending his money on saving his car. Didn't even pay off his car. That's so funny that he bought gas for his car, but he won't pay for his car itself. He's just living for today. He's not seeing anything of tomorrow. And he wears shoes in bed. Ugh. I no longer sympathize with George. Yes, the intensity of the fantasy. It's so different from the actual interaction itself, where it was just like awkward pauses and small talk. He's just remembering the gestures. He's remembering these like vivid moments of her striking a pose.
What are you playing around with, Horace now, George?
Come on, give it.
Let go of me! Slut!
Oh no, she's destroyed the photographs.
Notice I have to be in San Francisco Monday morning.
Oh, what a mess. Yeah, but I'd hope. Oh, never mind.
It's very...
Gloria, would you let me...
No! Don't put me on hold again. No!
He's only got one more night with that car, and he's only got one more date with that girl. Yeah, kind of formulating the same kind of obsession that John formulates with Jean Moreau's character in Bay of Angels.
I'd like to take some pictures.
Of me?
No. Is Lola here?
I think so. Don't you like blondes?
Maybe next time.
Demy loves blondes. Is he trying to capture the perfect picture, like have the perfect recollection of her, or is he trying to see her again and deepen that bond, that relationship? This is kind of like, again, the conflict of fantasy and reality. His pictures were torn up. He needs new pictures. But if he concentrates on the pictures, he won't see the woman behind them. And if he concentrates on the woman, he won't get the pictures that he desires.
Don't look so grim.
What did you expect?
I don't know, a smile maybe?
What did you expect? Expectations.
Why did you follow me this morning?
Well, I wanted to know who you were.
You know very well that most of men who follow girls in the street are sadists or maniacs or nuts.
Well, at first when I saw you coming in this tart factory, I was surprised.
Boys, boys, boys.
I thought I told you why I was doing this work, but you don't want to understand.
Yeah, see, oh, this is the same conflict that happens in Lola as well.
What's the difference? Men look at me in the same way, don't they? I must say, I was completely broke. That's an old story.
It literally is. She's literally repeating a beat from Lola. This is a conversation that she had with Roland that she's now having with George.
I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm going into the army. I'll be out of circulation for a few precious years.
Like Guy. Oh, that's weird. Lola's living out the kind of like the scenario with George that Geneviève lives out with Guy, and of course with Guy, when Guy leaves, Roland is the one who ends up matching with Geneviève. Oh, it's weird. It's like it plays in this fault line of where you're like Demy's playing with like archetypes and whatever. This is like Demy repeating the same story over and over again in different permutations and seeing what sticks and what falls apart. But also you're kind of like sometimes it just feels like you're just recycling the same stories over and over again. But like, I don't know. When you come from like a small town or you're used to like a small life, you kind of play out the same like the same stories or the same fantasies over and over again, and they just get iterated on as you grow older and older. So yeah, while it in like cinematic or like narrative terms, it seems like it may be a bit redundant. Psychologically, I think it's striking that these stories keep playing out in the same ways, only with a different cast, literally in some cases.
If it make you happy.
I think it might.
Okay. For 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's so many timers going off. There's so many countdowns happening, Lola leaving to go back to Paris, George's car being repossessed, George having to go back to San Francisco for the draft. Always a deadline. Since Lola, there's been a deadline. The deadline of getting on that ship to go to like South Africa to get diamonds or whatever.
I'm here, waiting, ready to follow you, and I don't even know your name.
My name is George Matthews, and I was born in the state of California.
My real name is Cecile. Lola is a stage name.
I'm trying to remember Cecile's the name of any characters in Lola. Is it the name of the daughter?
Bonjour, Madame Desnoyers.
Bonjour, Monsieur François.
Bonjour, Mademoiselle Cécile.
Bonjour, monsieur.
I've got a son almost grown who is waiting for me in Paris.
Cecile is the name of the girl.
Lola, c'est aussi une petite Lola nommée Cécile qu'un marin américain emmène à la foire. Annie Dupérou s'en souvient.
J'étais vraiment amoureuse de lui. Puis il avait même promis de m'épouser à l'âge de 18 ans. Moi, je l'ai toujours attendu. J'avais vraiment 14 ans ce jour-là, donc le jour du tournage de mon vrai anniversaire. Et puis la robe, on m'en a fait cadeau après le tournage. Malheureusement, celle-ci a été transformée en coussin par ma grand-mère.
I know it'll sound totally crazy, and I never said it before to anyone, but because I never really, felt it before, but I love you.
Saying that with your back to the camera is a real dick-swinging move on Demy's part.
But you don't know me at all.
Maybe I needed you.
Me or someone else. You needed to talk.
I needed to say I love you, and that's true.
Nobody's ever after Lola for Lola. Everybody's just living out their fantasies for her. I guess her name's Cecile. I wonder, though. I guess she didn't really interact with Cecile and the mother that much in the movie. But I'm wondering if this is also another, fake name or whatever. I don't know why she'd need to give that out a fake name to a guy, but maybe. That might just be part of her personality.
Pardon?
Roland, tu ne me reconnais pas?
Cécile.
Roland. There's been a misunderstanding. Will you come to my place? We can have a drink there.
It's so cool, the ways in which young girls of Rochefort, and more specifically Umbrellas of Cherbourg, break from all of these archetypes that are present in Lola and Bay of Angels and here in Model Shop, and yet still kind of like exist within the same world. They're like complements to these like dark shadow stories. They're the light versions of them, even if they play out in some cases in tragedy.
She helped me very much when Michel left me. My husband, night and day. For 6 months, I crying.
And this is playing out the same scene again that is in Lola. Lola plays out with Roland, person that she'd known like 10 years ago, but now she's playing it out with a stranger.
Strange.
It's weird. They're like reflections that grow like dimmer and dimmer and dimmer as you grow older in life. It's just replaying out the same psycho fantasies with people progressively more distant in your life.
J'étais vraiment amoureuse de lui. Puis il avait même promis de m'épouser à l'âge de 18 ans. Moi, je l'ai toujours attendu.
Then, 3 years ago, we came to America. It was then when I found out he had met another woman.
Some other woman. Who? Who could replace Anouk Aimée? It must have been Claudia Cardinal. Or the lady who goes, scoop! The lady who goes, scoop! Jackie. It's oh dear. It is Bay of Angels. It's weird to think that Jackie cucked Lola. That's a weird story within this universe.
You took everything. I'm empty. I don't want to love anyone. Never again.
You're going to be.
And it's funny that she's like actually already like this in Lola, but she's operating under different mechanisms with the same underlying psychology. In Lola, she like gives everything to people to keep them at a distance, just like to please them, to placate them. And here, a little bit older and with her son gone, she just outright like kind of like dismisses people and keeps them at a more literal distance. Roland! Roland! Roland!
Oh,
Frankie!
that's Frankie. He's dead.
Oh no! Oh
The
no!
beginning of the war.
He was so nice. Oh, Frankie is so nice.
You know, it's crazy, but I'm afraid of death. I realized it for the first time in my life today. It's not that I'm a coward, but what's more beautiful than life? Maybe the reflections of life, a book,
a picture,
quartet, film. I wonder if it's worth the struggle.
But that is cowardly. I never give up.
Yeah, but you won't let yourself love anymore. That's giving up.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about her argument.
I'm afraid of one more love. I don't want neither you nor anyone else anymore. George!
And that's the ending of Bay of Angels as well.
I never loved anyone.
I don't believe you.
I have $75. I'll give it to you.
If I accept this money, you lose me. I can leave tomorrow.
I'll lose you anyway, won't I? Here, take this money.
Why are we always playing out this same scene? A man always pays a woman in order to show that he doesn't love her, or that he does love her, and ends up saying the opposite. Because he actually means the opposite.
I never meant to hurt you, you know.
Anyway, it'll work out, won't it? I'll end up by forgetting.
Hello, Cecile? Oh, Barbara, hi. This is George. No, I wanted to speak with Lola.
Cecile?
Has she left already? You mean to France? When?
You gave her the money. What were you expecting, man?
No, I didn't have anything special to say. I just wanted to wish her good luck, that's all. No, she didn't say
Just getting towed. The day repeats itself. It's interesting, the kind of like reflectiveness of this, intentionally reflecting in on itself, cycling in on itself, and also reflecting back on Demy's other works.
Tell her that I loved her. You know what I mean?
It's almost like purgatorial.
Yeah, always try. Yeah, always try.
I don't know how to take that message at the end. That's interesting because it plays so much. Yeah, I guess it's to do with the psychology of Cecile or Lola. Like, despite heartbreak, despite life kind of like trampling you down, that you have to love again. I actually don't know. A part of me believes. I guess this is like Demy living in kind of like Schrodinger's cat in terms of his relationship with love, his relationship with human feelings. Like simultaneously, I think that as a filmmaker overall, Demy would want us to like believe in this, that you have to persevere, you have to be able to love. But I think the message of these films in continuation with each other, if you view them as a whole, is that while the sensation of love does kind of like exist and we can fall into love and we can believe in love, what people are playing out is like the same kind of like is the same psychodrama over and over again, to diminishing returns. That Model Shop is kind of intentionally a more drab, dreary version of the stories played out in Lola and Bay of Angels, and to a certain degree The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. That this story keeps on repeating itself because human beings have these needs and they can't fulfill these needs with each other, so and with the people that they want, so they keep on replaying it over and over again. They go to the gambling hall and they throw the dice hoping that it'll land on 7 this time, and they do it at a further distance from their hometowns, at a further distance from their lives. The important people in their lives being stripped away from them gradually as they become like Jacques, or they become like, they go from Lola to Jacques, where they like lose their child and they're far away and they're just at these gambling halls trying to make their money back, trying to make their way home. and they found themselves surrounded by strangers, and they have to make acquaintances and relations with strangers because they can't do it with the people that they love anymore. And I actually I don't think that Demy is 100% saying like you need to believe, you need to keep going. I think that's the message of Young Girls of Rochefort, certainly, but holding those movies, I don't know, holding like the dichotomy of Young Girls of Rochefort and like Umbrellas of Cherbourg, they kind of like present two contradictory ideas on like what love is and on what moving on is and what carrying a flame is, because Young Girls of Rochefort eventually offers a solution to this, that if you keep the flame burning, if you keep holding out for the one true love, you'll eventually be reunited with them. And that reflects a story in Lola. But Umbrellas of Cherbourg says that there is no one true love, that you have to move on with your life, that you have to make do with the people that are in your life, and you'll be happy in your own way from that. And I think that's a story that's being told in like Bay of Angels, for example. And so it's like it keeps crisscrossing and contradicting each other, and one ends up feeding into the other, that you have to be simultaneously always naive and always hopeful, but that naivety is simultaneously tinged with cynicism and knowledge that the world is threatening and abusive, and turns you simultaneously abusive. And the more nonchalant and the more innocent you are, the more abusive you become towards others, and neglectful you are towards others. Because, like, you know, Lola offers the happy ending of being reunited with your love, Michelle, and then Model Shop offers the answer that Michelle ends up leaving you for Jacques from Bay of Angels, and nothing turns out the way you want it to. And despite that, Lola ends up going back to Paris, back to try again, try her hand at the crap table, and in doing so she forsakes George, and George in this defeat like realizes his love for Cecile, for Lola, and in doing so he has to go to the draft, and he'll go to Vietnam and perhaps play out the same scenario as Frankie, where he'll end up dying, and playing out the same drama of Frankie being the man spurned by Lola and goes off to die in the war. But there's also this kernel of hope that the Paris Peace Accords will put an end to the Vietnam War, and hopefully people won't have to die. And so it's just like this endless miasma, this really naughty mess that of contradictions that Demy presents in his works, that I find fascinating. I do not think that Model Shop would probably stand up on its own if you watched it in a vacuum, divorced from Demy's other works, but I think it's a really challenging qualifier to his works if watching them all in aggregate. Yeah, it's so weird that from my point of view, what Demy is making is intentionally less glamorous, less ideal versions of the same narrative playing out over and over again in these, like, to my mind, three principal movies of Lola, and then Bay of Angels, and then Model Shop. I wonder if Un Chambre en Ville will play out a similar story, a continuance of this kind of trajectory of hope and cynicism. Usually with a filmmaker, I'm able to kind of tell where their allegiances lie, whether they feel hopeful or whether they feel cynical about the future. And like, because, like, you know, one of his people influenced by Demy, for example, like Damien Chazelle, you watch Babylon and you think, like, this is a movie full of bad, and you know it's just so that he can have a kernel of hope at the end, because he's an optimist at the end. Bresson is like is eternally cynical, even if he presents like vague gestures of hope towards humanity. His overall view is cynical, and he laments the world being as tragic as it is, as bad as it is, as evil as it is. And with Demy, I find myself in this really strange place where he sits in both worlds simultaneously, and every single time he puts up an argument for one, it actually further, by contrast, adds another argument in the polar opposite. It's a weird filmmaker, very, very weird filmmaker. Makes films that you could probably not enjoy. Like Model Shop is very much not an enjoyable film, but movies that you can wrestle with a lot and think about how you play out these kind of scenarios in your own life. Yeah, that was Model Shop. Give it a watch. I don't know. It's interesting. If you're a Demy fan, give it a watch. See how you feel about it coming out of Lola, coming out of Bay of Angels, and Umbrellas of Cherbourg, and Young Girls of Rochefort, and Donkey Skin. And let me know what you think. In the meantime, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. If you made it this far and wish to contribute further, consider joining my Patreon, where you can get more exclusive stuff and videos that aren't even on this channel. Wow! Yeah, and until next time, keep watching good movies.